I'm wondering if this particular METALITE song is going to have more of a grunge feel to it. I don't know. You know, it's named Apocalypse, which provokes more ominous emotion and presence, perhaps. Or maybe it'll be, you know, just a fun metal ballad. The last two tracks I've consulted thus far in terms of my early familiarity in getting accustomed to METALITE have been just that. I mean, I'm quite impressed with them, not only because, again, I gravitate more to the metal side of music, and it's even more specifically than that, the European metal. I'm very active in regards to my reference of this particular scene because of the talent pool that they have out there. But, you know, I'm always game in terms of introducing myself to new artists, but METALITE, I knew would be a great introduction. As I've said before, I bought all of their albums on faith, given her, Erica Olsen, the front lady here, the collaboration that she created with Mortimia. Big fan of him, again, Norwegian one-man symphonic metal artist, if you're not familiar. He's really talented. But Erica Olsen had a great impression for me immediately that I figured, okay, you know, at some point I will gauge METALITE, and I've done just that. I've been very impressed with their music. And again, it's always fun to get fresh introductions and perhaps build in the process, you know, music coverage on this channel, which has been a long ambition of mine, and perhaps in the process to introduce others like yourselves to talents that maybe in your circles are a bit more obscure. Maybe you've never heard the names of before. I judge it by mine, and I know for my social circle, METALITE will never be, at this point, a mentioned name. Maybe it'll take me to make it a mentioned presence. I don't know. But again, I've been very impressed. I mean, in terms of Swedish metal, it's been great. And their electronic emphasis as well in terms of how they integrate that element into their works, I've been fascinated by, especially since many of the other Swedish artists I've consulted, let's say, for example, Dead by April, who I've been a long fan of, and upon a recent entrance with Follow the Cypher, both of them utilize electronic constructions as well. But I wonder if it is, and if you're Swedish and you're familiar with the rock scene, maybe you could speak to this, if electronic components and more of a technological side to music is more of a mainstay in that realm of the world. I don't know. It's just interesting to me to see the coincidence in terms of the overlap of different artists in the Swedish metal scene. But, you know, METALITE sort of is kind of in between both groups in regard to their electronic pacing, but I've been very impressed. Again, what primarily brought me in was Erica Olsen as a vocalist. She's extremely talented from what I heard on Lost Horizon and Mortimia. If you haven't heard that work, I would encourage you to listen to it. It is so good. But so far, METALITE, you know, 2 tracks in, I'm having a great time. And we're now on to the second release. I'm going by music video releases in regards to the tracks I want to cover in the selection. So now I'm on to Apocalypse off of Biomechanicals. I'm going to go ahead and cue up the video. We can get a taste for this ourselves. And I'm assuming for some of you this is going to be a first introduction. I hope you have as great of an experience as I have thus far with this group. Again, I've enjoyed them quite a bit. So queuing up in the video, and the process, as I will say, if you're not familiar with the way I format my coverage here on the channel in regards to music, I try and accommodate listener tastes however you want to approach a song. So if you're somebody that likes to read along with the lyrics of the piece, I will have those provided for you in the video feed, and they will transition with the song as we proceed through it. Without further ado, let's get an introduction to a third METALITE song. I'm happy with them, though. I'm really liking what I'm hearing. This is Apocalypse. Let's see if it is dramatic like I surmised. I don't know. Could be different. I'm open either way. Either surprise me or follow along. Dramatic technological opening. Has a real homely feel in this video. It helps in terms of where they filmed it, but it's just the energy that I sense. Interesting turn in terms of the music structure. I mean, I didn't expect maybe this deviation of key, but they're switching around a bit. The way it started gave me a bit of a different picture. Bit of a softer energy compared to some of their other works. Okay. A bit surprised. You know, I'm open to that. It's wavering a bit, quite substantially in this song, but I like it. Like I said, I've never heard Erica Olsen before. She really is a talented vocalist in the metal scene. I mean, her power in regards to her raw vocals is very entertaining to listen to. You can tell she's an impassioned singer. A lot of varied focus here. It's interesting though. As a technique to the song, it's an interesting construction. I like these chorus constructions quite a bit. Gives me a real Dead by April vibe, at least in the sound. Nice place for a riff too, and again referring back to the original key in terms of the opener and the verses. It's interesting. Again, this is shifting around, but it has a nice, an understandable tracking. It's not too diverted that it comes across as distracting. Good sync into that. I like it. Wonderful flow. Oh, another key change, okay. Nice climb, Erica. That's beautiful. Great construction, very enjoyable listen. Like I've said for other artists, let's say, for example, again, there's relevancy here because of how I found Eric Olsen in the first place. Like Linda Toni Gran of currently Ad Infinitum, but formerly Follow the Cipher. Like Federica Lana of Volturion. Like Melissa Boni of Ad Infinitum. Credit to Mortimia for me discovering a very enjoyable vocalist through Erica Olsen and paving the way for me to be introduced to not Mortimia. Well, of course. No, different. I've already had that introduction, but to METALITE. Again, too many M's, it seems. But very enjoyable listen. I like the homely feel of that piece. It's a good rhythm all the way through. I like the varied pacing of the different keys that they picked, and it has a nice flow. Like, again, it doesn't feel too abrupt of a switch. And I've said before to different occasions, especially in the context of maybe key changes that occur in the last measure, it doesn't feel like a twist where you're left in wanting of a song, in part because it's intentionally designed that way, where there are those variances, so you're jumping off at different points of a song's construction. I thought it was quite enjoyable, again, as a piece. It's very entertaining, consistent in terms of tone all the way through. I like how the electronic emphasis, while it definitely has a very Dead by April luster, like I've said many times, I'm a big fan of that group. I've been for years. They're Swedish metal, if you're not familiar. Again, I think I already mentioned that in the video, in the introduction anyway, but has a real reminiscence in terms of the way they utilize electronic beats, even though with METALITE it's a little more pronounced. But it still has this subdued tonality where it's not as, and I love Follow the Cipher, no shade in any way intended, but it's not as potent here. It's, again, it's refined in the context of a song where the music is given a greater emphasis. And the presence of the video, it's an enjoyable performance set inside someone's home, I'm assuming, at least from what I can see. I don't know for sure. But it had an enjoyable, light feel. It seemed like everybody's having fun with it. It's a good piece. It's not what I expected when I thought about Apocalypse. I expected something far more dramatic, and yet I'm like, oh yeah, it's got kind of a homely, charming presence. No, it's quite different. But, and good scope to the lyrics, by the way. I thought it was very imaginary in regards to illustrations, beautiful details. It paints a nice picture. It's an enjoyable piece. Like, by every metric, as always with METALITE, I've been very entertained on the first 2 listens, and Apocalypse is no exception. What are your guys' thoughts of METALITE? Maybe this is a first introduction for you, maybe you're a longtime fan. I'd love to hear the angle you come from down below and your specific thoughts on Apocalypse if you so choose to disclose your perspective. For me, it's an enjoyable ballad, as usual. Again, I'm a metalhead, I gravitate closely to this, and while I am very selective when it comes to electronic music, METALITE has been very enjoyable. I have a list of exceptions, and they qualify. And in terms of Apocalypse, it's an ever enjoyable rock listen that I know I'll be playing on repeat for, I'm sure, many times to come as I do many European songs. I love it. I gravitate so much in this space. Again, I find so much talent here. If you've never ventured as deeply as I have into the European landscape, you are missing out. There are so many great talents there, and METALITE, I would attribute the same respect. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.